How's it going, guys? The rugby world saw Australian heartbreak as Hugo Keenan, on the last minute, bundled over for a try to finish the game, to see the Lions lead for the first time during the game, and also to clinch the series win as well. However, there were two crucial moments. One was Dan Sheehan's try. The second was the build-up to Hugo Keenan's final try of the game, which has sparked a lot of controversy. And I want to kind of break that down. And I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. So please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And let's get into it. So first of all, I want to start with the big, the elephant in the room. Hugo Keenan's try to finish the game. Like I say, last minute. First time that they were leading throughout the entire game. The Aussies really put on a brilliant performance. The Lions were a little bit lackluster, but ended up getting the points needed. Very powerful forwards, but very lackluster backs. I don't know. It was a weird performance for the Lions, but what we did see is the big moment between I believe it was Carlo Tazzano and Jack Morgan. Jack Morgan came in for a clean out, and whether he got head contact, whether it was illegal. This is the big thing. When I first watched it, obviously there was a lot of emotion, there was a lot of intensity in there. There was, my mind was racing. This was the real, this was the build up. Everything was going down, and then the commentators were speaking on it a lot, and I don't know. First time I watched it, I thought it shouldn't be a try. But that was my initial thoughts. The more I look back at it, the more I go back and forth, and I tried looking at all the different camera angles, stop, start. The more I seem to think that it's actually the ref was actually correct in this matter. Now, you guys might have a different opinion, and I want to hear what your guys' different opinion is. But when I look at how low Carlo Tazzano was, and then we look at the clean out that Jack Morgan came in with, I think it was controversial, but I think the ref made the right decision, right? You look at how he came in, you look at the impact. I don't believe that there was head contact. I do believe it was shoulder to shoulder. Tazzano was very, very low to the floor as well. So at points that did force Jack Morgan into that awkward position, but I don't feel that there was anything wrong with that. I do feel on any other given day, it would have been different, right? That we would have seen different. Maybe earlier in the game, we might have seen it called differently, but I do feel that it was a correct decision, right? And ultimately, that ended up giving the Lions the necessary points to come through with the series win. I would have loved to see Australia win. I really, really would have loved to see Australia win to set up that perfect game 3 that everybody was waiting for. But it was not to be. Now, the main one that I potentially have issues with is Dan Sheehan's try. Now, this one, I feel Australia actually have a pretty good point too, is with this Dan Sheehan try, because from what it looks, he jumped over the play. You cannot jump over a player, to avoid a tackle. We saw it, I believe it was in the Six Nations with Wales. I forget the kid's name, but he actually hurdled over a tackle, and that led into a brilliant try for Wales, but it was then called back and disallowed because he had jumped over the player. Now, again, I feel more time should have been had with this. I feel it looked like Dan Sheehan jumped over the defender and got the try. He didn't necessarily hurdle him, but it did look like he reached and left the floor to get to get into that try. So this one, I can definitely see Australia's point. I feel this one should have been disallowed. I do feel that Hugo Keenan's try should have stood. But this is these moments where it's very difficult to be a ref. Very difficult moments to be a ref, because if you make a rash decision, you don't want TMO to be stepping in. People say, "Oh, why didn't you spend more time with the TMO?" When TMO steps in, people say, "Oh, there's too much, TMO stepping in, too much time is being wasted," and blah blah blah. But personally, for Dan Sheehan's try, I feel that this one should have been chalked off, and that one should not have stood, because, in my opinion, he dived over the defender to avoid the tackle. Whereas with the build up to Hugo Keenan's, I feel chances, positioning. Jack Morgan came in with a good clean out. Carlo Dizano made an absolute meal of it, and hey, it is what it is. So I can definitely understand the frustrations of the Aussies. That was also at a crucial time where the Wallabies did have a good amount of momentum behind them. And this was a little bit of a game changer, momentum shifter. And obviously, Dan Sheehan, he's just elite. He's such a good player, just all around the block. But should his try should have stood? I don't think so. And this is why I want to hear what you guys think, because Keenan, the more I watch it, the more I'm inclined to say yes. Sheehan, the more I watch it, the more I'm inclined to say no. Could these have made big differences on the game? Yes. Did it kind of kill off the series? Yes. Because now the third game is just coming into just a game. I know there are a lot of people saying, "Oh, but there's still." It's no even near as electric as if Australia had to win going into the third game 1-1 and then have just an absolute fire game. It is what it is. But I do feel Taniela Tupou as well should have been playing. He should have at least been on the bench. Like when you saw, was it Will Skelton? When we saw God, what's his name? I completely forgot his name. He was brought in as well. How have I forgot his name? But that physicality that they had in, and Tupou, he's fit, he's ready, he's a beast, he's so physical. He could have really run rings around, around some of these Lions players. If there was a game, it would have been now. It really would have been now. So, as always, please like, subscribe. I want to know what you guys think. There's a lot of you that are going to end up saying I'm wrong, I'm right, and blah, blah, blah. But I want to hear what your thoughts are. All right. Don't just give me some basic, "Oh, you're wrong," and you talking BS. Give me reason. What are your thoughts? Give me the actual reasoning behind your thoughts. So, as always, thank you. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.